Only a tiny bit left of this 13th chapter of The House with a Clock in Its Walls. We've met Crazy Annie. She is a witch named Mrs. Thrip, who has driven everybody to the mansion after using revival spells. A hard hike up the hill to the top to find the driveway plowed, but Fergie reminds them that there could still be an invisible wall blocking them off. "That would indeed be a problem, Byron," said the professor, who was walking nearby. "However, we should not give up hope until all hope is gone. It's 10 minutes to midnight by Mrs. Thrip's watch. Let's see how close we can get." The path led from the driveway to the front door of the mansion. The path that led from the driveway to the front door of the mansion had been shoveled, so the 5 of them walked on it, with the professor in the lead. This time there was no invisible barrier, and they clumped up the porch steps to the entrance. When he opened the door, the professor gasped. A frozen waterfall had cascaded down the front stairs, and the hall looked like a skating rink. "Good heavens!" exclaimed the professor. "A pipe must have burst somewhere. I should have had the water turned off when I left, but we don't have time to think about that now. Fortunately, there's a back staircase, and let us hope that the upstairs of the house doesn't look like the Scott Glacier. This way, and try not to fall down." Slipping and sliding, everyone followed the professor down the hall to the back of the house. Frost-rimmed paintings stared down at them as they passed, and clouds of breath hung in the air. It was bitterly cold, colder even than it was outside. When he got to the back stairs, the professor was glad to see that the steps were bare. Waving for the others to follow, he started up. Johnny felt so nervous that he was ready to jump out of his skin, and he kept glancing at Fergie. Fergie plodded along with his head down, his mouth set in a grim frown. At the top of the stairs, they came out onto the second floor. The hall lights were on, and the floor was dry except for a patch of ice that lay outside the door of the bathroom. Picking his way carefully, the professor moved to the narrow stair that led to the dark, forbidding door of the tower room. In the distance, they could hear a droning chant, a weird murmuring sound that ran down the sloping ceiling of the stairwell. With Mrs. Thrip right behind him, the professor started up. The blood was singing in his ears, but anger and crankiness drove him on. At last he stood before the paneled door. He raised his hand to knock, but quite unexpectedly the heavy door swung open, and what he saw made the professor gasp and step back involuntarily. And that is the end of chapter 13.